Alright, so here's one I get asked a lot. How the fuck can you do big plumes on stock airflow? Because, the natural progression, if you go on like CCI or something, it's always to add more airflow, more holes, bigger, bigger, bigger. And I went that route like most people do, and I think it's a good route to take. But at some point you realize that too much airflow isn't always a good thing, because you lose that density, that distance. So then you have to like regress, pull back from that airflow. Yeah, at some point I was using things like, hold on. Things like this, or this piece of shit here. Yeah, that's like the natural progression I did, from more and more airflow, lower and lower builds. I think I still have a 0.04 build. Yeah, I have a 0.04 build in this Patriot deck here with this Swiss cheesed out cap. Maybe some of you have seen me use this in some of my videos. I haven't touched this in quite a while, because then I saw guys like David Light and Keanu, just to name a few, that were just pluming way harder than me on their stock little TOBH airflow. And that just mind blown. Yeah, so obviously I wanted to know how the fuck they did it, so I asked questions. I practiced my ass off, following their guidance and their help, and yeah. So now I've tried describing how to do it when people ask me, but it's hard to do in words and to maybe understand. I'll use the mutation here. I think this is a good atomizer to make an example of what I'm talking about. This is a 0.08 build. A lot of people are rocking these with full wide open, like this. You'll get some decent sized spread out clouds like this, but no density. It's hard to get distance unless you really have some intense lung power. And even if you do, it thins out the cloud even more. So I like to keep it at half this. See the tab running down the middle, 3 holes there. This seems to be in my sweet spot. Get denser clouds, more distance, and it doesn't affect the size much. But yeah, here's just to prove that it's more about technique than, well, the build matters, the atomizer matters. You have to get used to your atomizer, you have to know it, you have to understand it, you have to practice on it day in and day out, really figure out what's the best technique to use, because all atomizers are a little bit different. So here it is, just one hole open. So that's where people get, what the fuck? How do you do it? It's more about technique than anything else. How do I explain this? You have to let air in from around the drip tip or a corner. Some people do it from the corner of their mouth. Obviously, if you put a tight seal on it and try to... Sorry, no, it's too much open there. If I put it back at one hole and I put my lips tight around it and try to have a pull, it's pretty much impossible to get a full lung hit. So you have to let air in from around the tip like this. See, the corners around the tip are open. So I'm able to get a real big full lung inhale. That's what you want to do. You want to get the full lung inhale. You know, you want to empty out your lungs pretty much. And yeah, another trick that most people use: hold the button for a couple seconds, blow your last little air you have in your lungs out through the atomizer to get it hot, and then you pull. So yeah, that way you get a full lung inhale. You can have your distance, your full exhale, and it gives out a nice big cloud with still being dense. Obviously, you don't want it completely closed off like that if you're competing or want to blow the biggest clouds, but it's just to prove a point that when even on a tiny little stock air hole with proper technique, you can still blow pretty good clouds. And aside from just letting a little bit of air in, I play with the velocity a little bit. At first, when I start to inhale, I usually let more air in around from the drip tip, from outside air, and when I'm close to being full inhale, I tighten my lips a little more, so I get that density. So when you shoot it out, you have your more density. It's hard to explain. You're just tightening your lips a little more around the drip tip as you inhale. And when you think your lungs are pretty much just full, you'll see me sometimes, my shoulders will raise. It just gives more space for your lungs to really fill up properly. It raises your thoracic region or whatever. Your what the fuck you call it? Your ribs open up and leaves more room for more air to come in. There you go. And yeah, your exhale has to be straight. Otherwise, you'll see people when they're not properly exhaling. They're exhaling down, up and down, and side to side. Don't move your head. Don't move your lips. So the fucking flow of air is going in every which direction. You have to blow straight as possible, so you get the most distance and the nice streamline cloud. That's just basically it. It's just practice, and yeah, I've practiced so much doing this shit. Sometimes I only had like 6 milligram nicotine juice, and I still woke up in the morning, and that's all I dreamt about all night. Is practicing. So I got up, didn't even get a coffee or anything, or didn't even have breakfast. Go down the garage and start filming myself, practicing. I did that with the stock TOBH V2, which has the very, very restrictive airflow, until I finally figured out, so this is how you do it. And once you get the technique down, it only gets better from there, because you can work a little bit on the technique, work on the velocity, figure out how your atomizer works, what's the best possible way to inhale and exhale on it, and just play around with it and have fun. I didn't have fun at first because I just wanted to. I want to throw some plumes. I want to throw some plumes. That's all I got sick of it. I got, if you don't eat breakfast, you don't have your coffee, you don't drink anything, you just go straight fucking pluming like a motherfucker on 6 milligram juice. I got sick a few times. Went pale, green. Went upstairs, puked my ass off in the bathroom. That was no fun. Have fun with it. I didn't have fun with it at first. Now I'm all about having fun with it. I don't care anymore. I don't feel like I got anything to prove. And that's basically it. Just work on technique. Forget about all that fucking, like those CCI atomizers with 18 holes or whatever in them. People like drilling the top cap too, and drilling the sides, drilling everywhere. If you're just looking to get the widest spread out cloud, you don't care about distance, you don't care about density, then go for it. But personally, it's not that impressive to me. It doesn't take much skill. I'm much more impressed when I look at guys like Leiden and Keanu, or using a stock TOBH 2.5 and blowing those massive fucking sonic plumes. Super distant, super dense. So yeah, hope this answers any questions about technique and inhale, exhale. That's pretty much the best I can describe it. If maybe I forgot some shit, if you want to ask questions, go ahead. I'll answer them. I'm gonna post this in a couple places, upload it on YouTube. Because this is pretty much the question I get asked the most these days. Because now we're past the what's your build, what atomizer are you using, what kind of airflow. And once I explain to people what I usually like to build around 0.1, 0.08, 0.09, 0.1, 0.11, 0.12, they're like, fuck, that's high. How are you getting those kind of plumes on such a high build? Because people are doing like 0.03, 0.04, 0.05. And then they ask me what kind of modifications I did to my atomizer, and like, it's stock. It's a stock Still Air, or it's a stock Zenith, or it's a stock TOBH, or they're like, what the fuck? Don't understand. It's more about technique than anything. And once you got it down, I don't know, you'll just, one day you're going to be practicing, you're going, oh, there you go. And from then on, only gets bigger and bigger and bigger the more you play with it, practice, and understand it. So, hope this answers the question that a lot of people are asking. And if anybody has advice or anything, I'm not the end-all on this. I never claim to be. I'm not a pretentious motherfucker or anything. I'm learning as I go myself. This is just what works for me. It might not work for you. If you got some better ideas, just post it. I'm all about learning and sharing and advancing with my brothers in the vaping community. We're all in the same boat here. None but love, none but respect. Have a good one.